Welcome back, hunters. Today we're going to be going over the Gore Magala set and what's it best at and what's it good with. We're going to be talking about the set bonuses, the group skills, and a piece of armor that kind of ties it all together to make the armor set better. This is going to help you build out your character for all your builds. So let's get into it. So the burning question is, how does this all work together? It infects you with the frenzy virus when against large monsters. That's how the Black Eclipse set works, level 1, level 2. And you want to combine this with coalescence. When active, it grants you a large increase of elemental damage and status buildup. This is for temporary increase from recovering from blights or abnormal status effects. While the Black Eclipse set itself, the Black Eclipse effect, grants you a +5 attack boost when against large monsters at base, and then a +10 attack boost for 1 minute after curing yourself from the virus. So that's baked into the armor. So the antivirus is going to increase your affinity when you're cured. The Black Eclipse level 2, the 4-piece set, grants you a +10 attack boost when against large monsters and a +15 attack boost for 1 minute after curing yourself from the virus. Again, this is how all these things are working together to grant you these big affinity boosts and big attack boosts when using the armor. Now, when it comes to the Gore Magala weapons, the Gore Magala weapons have critical element on there, and the element that you are seeing on these Gore Magala weapons, it greatly increases elemental damage while active. So the element is going to be dragon. It's going to be niche to certain monsters you're going to fight. You're gonna go into like a Zoshia fight, an Argveld fight, and I want to say either Rathalos or Rathian, Guardian Rathalos, stuff like that. I want to say that they're weak against dragon, but it's a niche amount of monsters that's really going to be weak against the dragon element. And when you're farming for the Gore Magala weapons, Gore Magala is not really the easiest monster to fight, so you're going to need a little bit of evade awareness with it, and that's where I think that the armor set comes into with the evade window. So the evade window greatly what we get here with the Gore Magala set is a level 4 evade window, which greatly increases the invulnerability window. So it takes it from a tight evade counter type of deal to a normal person's reaction time to something that has happened and something that is going to happen. So player instincts aside, it's an okay thing to have when it just comes with the armor set. Something to build into, really, that's specifically niche to a build. Now when it comes to constitution, we're talking about fixed stamina rates. You get the level 3 constitution with the fixed stamina rates depletion, and the fixed stamina is something that when you push the button, it's going to take a chunk away from the stamina bar. And when we think about stuff like that, we think about the bow, we think about dual blades, we talk about the insect glaive. Those have from my testing, fixed stamina depletions that when you push a button, it's going to do a thing. You do the dual blades evade movement, and it's going to take away this amount of stamina for that. And besides the insect glaive, I want to say if you do like the perfect evade with the dual blades and the bow, you're going to get the stamina back. So this may not be something that you're looking for when it comes to playing those two types of weapons, but it is there it's fixed into the armor. So these are things that are fixed into the armor. These aren't taking up your deco slots yet. And don't mind the divine blessing, that is on my talisman, so we're going to skip over that. And then the coalescence that we talked about earlier, when active, it grants a slight increase to elemental damage and status build up. So this goes for all elemental status builds up. So we're talking sleep, poison, paralysis, stuff of that nature. Dragon puts a negative affinity on the monsters when used. Now, what specifically does dragon do to monsters? I'm not particularly quite sure about what it does, but I know that it's an element that does end up getting on you, and it can happen to a monster. So in the top left hand corner of the screen, if you were affected by dragon damage, then there is a counter for a negative debuff that you are affected by it, such as poison or fire. Now, I want to say that dragon damage, now correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, I want to say that dragon damage will reduce your ability to heal effectively over time. Now, that may be frenzy. Frenzy, I know, also does some negative effect to you like that. It stops your ability from recovering as good as you could. But again, with what dragon does to the monster itself, or what it does to you, not really sure. But coalescence will grant you more of that elemental damage and status build up. So it's just a compounding skill that works with status effect element builds. Now, antivirus, it slightly increases the recovery rate after contracting the frenzy. Now, affinity plus 3 if cured, 6 if cured, 15% if cured. When you're wanting, so if you want to use the antivirus to its fullest ability, you're going to want to contract the frenzy as, I don't know, like as often as possible, that you're getting that buff even when you're not fighting specifically a frenzied monster. So you combine antivirus with another skill that you can only find on an armor piece, which we're going to talk about that in a second, and that is going to be your ticket to get in contracting the frenzy and being cured of it while granting that extra affinity. And affinity is critical hit damage, if I'm not mistaken. So critical hit damage is affinity, and you're going to want that boosted if you're doing critical hit builds. And what does critical good is the dual blades and the bow specifically. You can hit the targets that you want more accurately, and the dual blades have generally a good affinity based weapon. Some of the artisan weapons you can build up to a very good affinity with those. So the flinch free that you slightly get, it just prevents knockbacks, and not a lot of things using those 3 items, right? So those 3 weapons that I keep talking about, the bow, the dual blades, and the insect glaive, those things really benefit from flinch free. When you're at the bottom of the feet of a big monster, they tend to move their feet a lot, and their feet are hit boxes, and so that could hit you, and it kind of takes you out of the fight when you get hit by a toe and you stumble a little bit. So having that baked into the armor is good. Now, the overall set, the Gore Magala's Tyranny, and it infects you with frenzy and raises attack when against large monsters. What's considered a large monster? An alpha Doshagama, a Rathalos, a Rathian, Zoshia, Arkvel, those things are considered large monsters. So you're really you're taking big monster hunter gains, the Gore Magala, and you're using that armor to hunt other larger monsters. So the one of the predators becomes an apex predator, and that's turning you into that type of hunting machine. And when you get into a fight with one of these bigger monsters, you get frenzied, and so it's like you're going into a rage state. But the frenzy does stop you from recovering as efficiently as you can. It's kind of like the corrupted mantle. It has a negative effect on you to give you gains. And then we have the scaled layering, temporarily reduced stamina depletion when health is 40% or lower. So if you were playing a dual blades and you were in on a monster and you're in your demon mode and using your stamina, burning through it, and they start hitting you and you're not flinching, but your health is going down, but your stamina is also depleting. If he gets you to a low enough state, which he's not one-shotting you, then you can kind of build for that. But it's that's all niche and specific lane type of. If all this lined up perfectly, it's happening. Again, all this is baked into the armor, and I want to tell you of how this works with certain armor pieces, and it's not going to really work too well for like a great sword user. All this put together, we're not really spamming our stamina to where we're going to need constitution. We're not really looking for too many tight evade windows. If you mastered the great sword, you're parrying, you're guarding, you're offsetting, you're monster clashing, and you're not really going to be looking for a negative effect to have on you in battle while you're in the face of a monster, beating him to death with a great sword. You're looking to bully him, tackle him, kick him, smack him with the side of the blade. You're trying to do all that. All this other stuff into the Gore Magala set is more, it's attack and evade. It's hit and run tactics, if you will. Now, to put all this together, the whole set in its entirety comes with a mediocre defense of 301. It has the 15 water resistance, has the 10 ice resist, and this is okay, but it's a rarity level 7 armor that has decent decos on it. But the one thing that's really going to elevate the build, that's really going to change the way that this armor set functions, is if you change one of these pieces, which I change out the chest piece. So I'm gonna just put the whole build on screen, and we go with this. So then we have the Guardian Arcvelt chest piece, and there's only, I think, 2 or 3 pieces of armor in the game that come with the blight resistance. You can't put this on your armor, you just have to have it. And what blight resistance does is it reduces the duration of all elemental blights by 75%. Now, this doesn't affect frenzy, so like, because frenzy isn't an elemental blight. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong, but I don't really think it works with frenzy. What it does is when you're on fire, when you are like electrocuted, or you got ice damage or anything elemental, it reduces those blights by 75%. Now, this works good with coalescence, because if you're not frenzied, then when coalescence can be activated when you're cured from a blight. So you're gonna want the blights on you less, like the least amount of time possible, versus nullifying them altogether, because then you're not going to activate coalescence, because if you were never affected with the elemental blight, then you're not going to be cured from it, so coalescence won't activate. So I paired this with the agitator, so big monsters usually become aggravated easier or more often. So again, raising that affinity up and granting you more attack, can't go wrong with that. And putting this with the flare, and it makes it easier to inflict wounds. So again, insect glaive, dual blades, bow, you're going to want to use your R1 ability to destroy those wounds more effectively. You want to make them more effectively. The dual blades R1 focus mode move is pretty cool. Insect glaive is pretty cool too. All of them are pretty cool in my opinion, besides some of the bow guns. Let's just say that. That's why I keep saying they're pretty cool, but the bow gun ones are lackluster, because I want to say that they changed the way some of the skills work. I don't think they have wyvern snipe in the game anymore. And I want to say in World, a wyvern snipe was specific to, I think, heavy bow guns. And when you wyvern snipe, I want to say you lay down in a sniper's position and you got like a line of sight, and it took away all the recoil. You shoot through a monster with the wyvern snipe, it pierces the target, and once it pierces the target, it explodes. For every little pierce that it went through, it was just a rapid chain explosion. I want to say they took that away for some reason, but if that was an R1 move, a focus move for the bow guns, then they all would be really cool. Or if the light bow gun did something with, I don't know, jumping on the enemy and unloading the machine gun, or a quick rapid fire into them, or I don't know. I think that they really took away the pizzazz from the bow guns, but this ain't a bow gun video. I mean, I digress. So you're not going to get the Arcvelt. I don't think you're not going to get the Decimator going with this, because you're using a 2-piece. Now, if you wanted to do a two-piece, this is perfectly fine, but this is going over the Gore Magala set and how it works well with some type of weapons and some it don't. So you can fine and tune your build accordingly if you want to focus on this set or not. So hopefully this video gave you some more insight into how this monster set works and the active skills and some things that I've paired it with. So we'll close it out by going over what I all paired it with. and minus some of the weapon stuff. Everything here is preference to the player, but I paired it with, it got critical boost, critical element. So greatly increased elemental damage while active, and then I have the increased damage dealt on critical hits with the critical boost. The protective polish grants no sharpness loss after 30 seconds. So this is going to help my insect glaive when I'm going in for those rapid combos, as my sharpness meter does go down. And I'm usually putting on a lot of pressure. The Constitution is baked into the kit. The Divine Blessing is put on the talisman because I'm hunting bigger monsters with this overall build. So I'm going to need that chance to get that reduced damage so I can stay in the fight quicker, just in case they catch me off guard. We got the Coalescence level 3, and I get the large increase of elemental damage buildup and status buildup. I got the Antivirus level 3 helping me get cured from the frenzy and gaining me more affinity on that. I got Earplugs level 3, so I can't be stunned by weak or strong roars. The Flare makes it a little bit more easier for me to inflict those wounds and deal more non-elemental damage. So my non-elemental damage is going to be my Kinsect that goes around and flies around, bumps up those numbers a little bit, and on the bow that I use is going to be mostly when it comes to those explosions with the tracer arrows. The evade window, just a little bit, is baked into the armor already. So level 2, since I'm not wearing the full 5-piece set, 2, 4, yeah, the 5-piece set. And then I got the blight resistance on the chest piece for the Guardian Arcveld. The Agitator, put that on there. Got the flinch free baked into the armor. Jump master, so I don't get knocked back while I'm in a jump. I just take the damage and keep going. And with the full 4-piece set, I have Black Eclipse level 2, and we talked about that earlier in the video about what Black Eclipse actually does and how that helps out the overall build. Now we've seen the full kit, the whole build in its totality, and hopefully you guys found some more information or learned a little bit more about the Gore Magala set and how that works out, and how you can go about building your character for putting these pieces of the puzzle together, because mixed sets are good, but now you have a more overall understanding on how the Gore Magala set in its totality would work if you went full Gore Magala and just a little bit of mix. So like, share, and subscribe on the video if you guys did enjoy the video. Check out my other channel, Mangum Sun. That's where I go over the First Ascendant content and some Destiny 2 content. And then I will see you in the next one.